Hello once again. 26th of July turned out to be a beautiful Saturday, with calm and sunny space weather. The highest density spike reached only 50 particles per cubic centimeter, what was followed soon after by an impact of something what looks like a coronal hole stream. But what wasn't identified by NOAA, who luckily noticed the increase of solar wind velocity. Even the latest burst on Schumann resonance monitor doesn't look so scary as those from previous days. On such a beautiful day, even the cosmic rays look somehow insignificant. However, a spike on A's low-energy proton graph decided to stay in opposition and grew such high that it probably scratched the ionosphere. As I am called a fearmonger not without a reason, I feel obligated to show you some fear porn which can be seen on SWFM magnetosphere monitors during the impacts of those density spikes. Notice that before the arrival of density spikes, entire magnetosphere was seriously compressed, what could be understood as an effect of a CME, if there would be any recently. However, sun is calm, and there were no CMEs in last days. Now, tell your children to leave the room, as the hardcore fearporn scenes will be visible on next couple frames. That was nasty. Said that the next fearporn parts were cut out by people from CCMC. My mom gave me a permission to watch those things. You don't have to edit those readings. Thankfully, not everything was erased, and we can still watch some of the dirtiest fragments. Oh yeah, baby. For the most perverted ones, here are the recent spikes. But this time they were censored, and you will have to imagine all the naughty details. It is worth to notice that those spikes seem to appear every day at similar times. I have to watch it more carefully to check if there is some kind of frequency indeed. I just can't stop to wonder how it is possible that no one is talking about all those wildfires in Northern America. It looks that half of the continent is burning, and no one cares about it. Those are the sizes of the biggest two wildfires. They are simply huge. and both were caused by lightnings. I think we went through this 1 year ago. But now I would like to concentrate on the quake of the day, a 6.6 magnitude downgraded smoothly by USGS to 5.5, which took place at 1:28 UTC in the middle of Atlantic, on the mid-ocean ridge. As always, I've checked most of the space weather data to find something what might be connected with the quake. However, at the time when it took place, magnetosphere condition was perfect. I don't remember when its shape was such correct as at this time. Of course, it was only a brief moment, and soon after some serious disturbances started to appear on the monitor. But if you want to see an example of healthy magnetosphere, remember this picture, as you won't see it too often. Much more interesting readings can be seen on the new magnetopause position monitor, when we can see a clear backside influx of some particles. Of course, I've checked the solar wind data to see if those particles didn't come from the sun. They didn't. However, on the current ring monitors, we can see that there was indeed an increase of particles at the time of quake. And it looks that there were much more electrons than protons. But only until we are talking about particles at lowest energy bands. Because at higher energy levels, the situation is opposite. There is much more protons than electrons. On low energy radiation belts monitor, we can see as well a tiny influx of neutral particles just before the quake. You would probably like to know if those events affected the geomagnetic field in any way. They did. The disturbance is clear as hell on European magnetometer stations. The jolt was recorded as well in Canada, but it was much weaker there. But let's look at the ionosphere. According to my latest observations, couple hours before the quake, there is an increase of neutral gas temperature over the epicenter. Let's see if it works in this case as well. Yes, it looks that the pattern is the same as well in this case. But check out the images from the time of quake. Although the temperature grew over Pacific, not Atlantic, it is clear that the ionosphere was visibly disturbed at this time. It is confirmed as well on the HMF2 monitor, when you can see that the height of electron cloud dropped from 980 to 540 kilometers before the quake, and then grew back to 700 kilometers soon after. That's quite a big difference, 400 kilometers in less than an hour. Another interesting event can be seen on the atomic oxygen monitor, where a clear inflow of particles from the space is visible soon before the quake. Keep in mind that this was not caused by the sun. You would probably like to know what was the source of those particle inflows. The most obvious answer is one of those abnormal cosmic rays. But I will try another explanation, which can be confirmed by the readings of electron cloud at 300 kilometers. It is visible that around 1 hour before the quake, one of the equatorial flux tubes was disconnected from our planet. When it happened, all the particles which were moving along this field line were injected back into the ionosphere, just like during a substorm. So we have the geomagnetic disturbances and particles entering ionosphere. Everything what left is the increase of auroral power. But, surprise! Auroral activity didn't change at this time almost at all. Why? Because all of this was caused by particles at low energies. That's why I'm talking about low energy field and no high energy field. To finish the earthquake subject nicely, check out the readings from Polar Cap Potential Monitor. Notice what happened with the negative potential right at the time of quake. Couple minutes before, the potentials were almost equal. And then, bang! Negative charge started to dominate in the ionosphere. But not for long. As soon after the quake, the strength of entire differential fell almost to zero. I would call it a discharge. For the end, I would like to speak about the irregularities of Earth's magnetic field. Most people think about our planet as about a dipole, where the opposite magnetic poles are placed close to the geographic ones. But it is not so simple as we are being told. In the difference to a typical dipolar field, our planet has 3 magnetic poles, where 2 of them are placed over northern hemisphere. Those images show their locations. As you can see, over northern hemisphere the polarity is divided. One of the northern magnetic poles is placed over northern Canada. Second one is located in Siberia. But this is not all, because the situation is far from being stable. It seems that the Canadian pole is weakening, while the one in Siberia is getting stronger. Those changes are clearly connected with growing temperature. Another effect of the tripolarity can be seen in the shape of polar vortex. While over southern hemisphere there is a single vortex, which is rather regular in shape, air circulation over northern polar cap is much more distorted, and it forms quite often 2 separate vortexes, for both magnetic poles. This is just my guess, but I think that there are more correlations, like the strange emission of active gases, or the holes in the ground which appeared in Siberia. But maybe it's just another of all those coincidences which are very common in my movies. And with this statement, I'll finish this lesson. Class dismissed. Peace.